here's part 2 because for some reason my video stopped on me. And we had just started science and we're going to start all over because we had only really completed week 16. So we are doing a review and we're starting with science. So what is Newton's first law of motion? Newton's first law of motion states that an object at rest tends to remain at rest, and an object in motion tends to continue moving in a straight line at a constant speed unless an outside force acts upon it. What is Newton's second law of motion? Newton's second law of motion states that force equals mass times acceleration. What is Newton's third law of motion? Newton's third law of motion states that for every action there is, I'm trying to remember this one. Oh yeah, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Newton's third law of motion states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. What is the first law of thermodynamics? The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. What is the second law of thermodynamics? The second law of thermodynamics states, are often called the law of entropy. The second law of thermodynamics explains why heat flows from an area of higher temperature to an area of lower temperature. Let's do that again. I forget. I can't go as high in the camera. What is the second law of thermodynamics? Often called the law of entropy. The second law of thermodynamics explains why heat flows from an area of higher temperature to an area of lower temperature. What is the third law of thermodynamics? The third law of thermodynamics explains that it is impossible to reach an absolute zero temperature. What are some ways light is observed? Some ways light is observed is by reflection, refraction, spectrum, wave, and particle. All right, we'll move on to English, week 16. A verb. A verb is a word that exerts action, shows a state of being, links two words together, or helps another verb. A noun. A noun names a person, a place, thing, activity, or idea. 5 cases of noun. The 5 cases of noun are subject, direct object, indirect object, of the preposition, possessive. All right, let's do that again. The 5 cases of nouns. The 5 cases of nouns are subject, direct object, indirect object, object of the preposition, possessive. All right, I'm trying to keep doing the moves we do in class. It's hard though. All right, a gerund. A gerund is a present participle verb form used as a noun. And a positive. And a positive is a noun or pronoun directly beside another noun that explains or identifies it. A conjunction. A conjunction is a word used to connect words, phrases, or clauses together. A conjunction is a word used to connect words, phrases, or clauses together. Oops, let me find that. Sorry. Okay. And then coordinating conjunctions. F, for, A, and, in, nor, B, but, O, or, Y, yet, S, so. All right, let's go to, we've already done our timeline, so now we'll do our history. Tell me about how World War II began. World War II began in 1939 when Hitler invaded Poland. Where are we at? 2 engagements that helped the United States win the Pacific Front were defeating Japan at the Battle of Midway and dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Tell me about World War II leaders. World War II Axis leaders were Hitler of Germany, Tojo of Japan, Mussolini of Italy. World War II Allied leaders were Churchill of England, Roosevelt, Eisenhower, and MacArthur of the United States, and Stalin of the USSR. Tell me about the United Nations. In 1945, after the League of Nations failed to prevent World War II, American President Roosevelt, British Prime Minister Churchill, and the Soviet Premier Stalin began the United Nations. Tell me about the Korean War. In 1950, General Douglas MacArthur led the United Nations forces to stop Communist North Korea from capturing all of South Korea during the Korean War. Tell me about the Vietnam War. In 1965, President Johnson sent U.S. troops to stop northern Vietnam from capturing all of South Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Tell me about the end of the Cold War. In the 1980s, British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and American President Ronald Reagan worked together to end the Cold War, lessen big government, and strengthen the conservative movement. Tell me about the fall of communism. In 1989, the communist dictators began to fall in Eastern Europe when Soviet General Secretary Gorbachev refused to send them military aid. And then we have geography. So I'm going to have to go over here for geography. Week 16. Alright, so we start with the Balkans. Oh, the Balkans, Greece, Albania, Bulgaria, Romania, Slovenia. Alright, week 17. Central European countries is Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, and Switzerland. More Central European countries. There's a song to this, and I can't remember the tune, so we'll just say them. It's Italy, Austria, Hungary, Czechia, and Slovakia. Southeastern Asia. Southeastern Asia, Taiwan, North Korea, South Korea, Philippines, Guam. Week 20. South Central Asia, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, North Vietnam, South Vietnam. Central America. I'm trying to remember the tune of this one. Oh, Central America, Central America. Honduras, Belize, and there's more. Guatemala, Nicaragua, and don't forget El Salvador. Central America, Central America. Honduras, Belize, and there's more. Guatemala, Nicaragua, and don't forget El Salvador. All right. Oceania Geography. How can I get the tune back in my head? Oceania. No. Okay, I don't remember the tune, so we're just going to go with it. So it's Oceania Geography, Australia, Great Barrier Reef, New Zealand, Indonesia, and Papua New Guinea. All right, that is it for geography. I think we've covered all 7 subjects. It looks like it. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the fine arts piece, and this one was really hard for me to pronounce the guy's name, but I'm going to try. Dvorak, I think is how to pronounce it. I thought I wrote it down, but I don't see it in my notes. So I'm going to read a little bit about him, and then we're going to listen to his music piece. Here it is. Antonin Dvorak. We're going to listen to a serenade of strings in the 4th movement. And I'm going to read a little insert. I'm going to move my stuff and actually just move this closer to me so it's easier. And give me just a moment. All right. So, Antonin Dvorak was born on September 8th, 1841 through May 1st, 1904 in the Romantic period. Antonin Dvorak was born in a village just north of, I forgot to pronounce that one, Prague. He was the oldest of 9 children. His father was a butcher who wanted Antonin to become a butcher too, but when he saw how musical Antonin was, he made sure he got a good music education, including violin and organ lessons. Dvorak got a job as a church organist, but what he really wanted to do was compose. So he entered his compositions in a government-sponsored contest and won. The prize money allowed Dvorak to quit his church job and made him well known as a composer. In spite of the fact that he never took composition lessons, Dvorak taught composition at the Prague Conservatory, and he also taught in New York City for a couple of years. The last of Dvorak's 9 symphonies was written in the United States, and is nicknamed for the fact that it hails from the New World. Alright, now I'm going to play a piece of his music. We're only going to listen to about 2 minutes because the piece is about 6 minutes long, I believe. You can listen to it at home longer, but just for time's sake in the video, I'm only going to play for 2 minutes. But while we're listening to this piece, I want you to just close your eyes and just rest wherever you are and just listen to the music. I think that was 2 minutes. I originally pulled it up off of YouTube and it tells the time, but I realized on CC Connected it does not. So I remember it going down and that was the 2 minute mark. So I'm going to read some things. Well, first of all, before I do this, think about what you heard in the music. Can you think of some orchestra pieces that you could have heard, like the violin, I cannot think of any musical instruments at the moment. I'll go ahead and read what was going on there for time's sake. This opening melody is theme A, played by the violins. The melody seems to spin on endlessly, one beautiful idea giving birth to the next. The expressive climax of the theme comes at 1 minute and 11 seconds. Then the music quietly subsides. At 1 minute and 31 seconds, the cellos play the first few notes of theme A again, echoed by the violins. A tranquil mood seems to prevail, but with a crescendo at 2 minutes and 2 seconds. So a lot of it changes after you get past a 2 minute mark, so y'all should listen to that. But what does this kind of music remind you of? To me, it reminds me of maybe dancing, like in a ballroom. I picture like Anna and Elsa dancing in the ballroom to something like this, or Beauty and the Beast. That's the kind of music it reminds me of, and I think it's absolutely beautiful, and it sounds like something you could easily go to sleep listening to it. Unlike what we heard last week, Brahms, where it was like, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. So anyway, I recommend, I'm just going to do it one time for the video's sake, but I recommend listening to it again and really thinking about what instruments you're hearing in it, how it makes you feel while you're listening to it, and maybe even draw a picture of your thought process during it. This one does not sound confusing like everyone thought the last one did. So hopefully this one will just make you feel like at peace or in awe. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed music super quick and to the point. I miss y'all, and I hope we get together soon.